You're listening to the Crew Book Club podcast, the show that challenges you to change your mindset through hearing about dope books. Thanks for hanging with the crew to get advice, ask questions, and gain knowledge with me, your host, Sade Hill. What up, crew? What's good? It's your girl, Sade, ready for another episode of the Crew Book Club podcast. I am locked in with you guys, okay? Welcome. First of all, how are you really feeling today? If you like, girl, I'm feeling good, feeling great. Hey, feeling good, feeling great. How are you? Keep that same energy. If you like me, today, I'm feeling a little off. My mood just kind of switched a little bit, and I really don't feel like being bothered, but I feel like being bothered with this. I want to record, so in my mind, I'm like, okay, after I finish recording this episode, I'm definitely going for a walk to digress, because I'm at the point in my life now where I've caught when my spirit is shifting, and I know exactly what I need to do to shift out of that thing. And recording this podcast brings me so much joy and happiness, on top of the fact that after this, I'm definitely going to go take a walk. But you know what? What do? We keep it we keep it pushing. And it is what it fucking is. All right, I'm feeling good already. I'm feeling better already. All right. Listen, there's a huge thing happening. When you hear this, if you follow my social, you will be in the know that the meet and greet is popping. The meet and greet is happening. I am overly excited to meet you all in person. For the people that are here locally in Jacksonville, Florida, come and holler at your girl November 5th, Saturday, November 5th. The link is in the show notes for you to get your ticket to meet me in person, and also other listeners, other like-minded people. If you're listening to this podcast right now and you show up, you're going to meet more people who have that mindset, who want to grow, who want to elevate, people who want to read books, people who actually read books, people who like to be challenged. That is the type of vibe you will experience at the meet and greet. So this is not just about meeting me, your host, Sade. This is also about meeting other members of the crew. All right. Also, we're gonna do some activities. It's gonna be super social. I'm gonna have some wine, some drinks for you guys, and some other little things that are gonna be happening. You do not want to miss this event. This is my first one. And let me tell y'all something. When I throw something, it is always with purpose. So you want to be in the room. You want to be in the space. Okay? So I hope y'all definitely click that link. You can find the event on Eventbrite as well. But click the link, get your tickets, and I want to make sure I see you in the building. Now listen, there's only 50 tickets. That's it. It's exclusive. 50, and that is it. So click the link, and I hope to meet you guys at the meet and greet, sip and see what's going on with the podcast. All right. Okay, so let's just get into the episode. Who Gon Check Me Boo? God is, and he is always checking us because we would deserve a good check. This check is a continuance of Isaiah 30, and I'm locking into verses 23, 26, and I'm going to back it on to 18. And I'm going to explain to you why I'm going out of order. Let me read you the verses first. Chapter 30, verse 23 from Isaiah. He will also send you rain for the seed you sow in the ground, and the food that comes from the land will be rich and plentiful. And that day your cattle will gaze in the broad meadows. 26. The moon will shine like the sun, and the sunlight will be 7 times brighter, like the light of 7 full days, when the Lord binds up the bruises of his people and heals the wounds he inflicted. So if you read back a little bit of Isaiah, it's about people not doing what they're supposed to do, and it's like God checking them, like correcting them, and he's inflicting these things, and people are questioning why and things of that nature. And it really checked me because I was having a struggle last week about something, being super excited about the podcast and sharing it and the event. And I got this weird vibe from certain people about it. And I was just like, what the heck? Like, these are the same people who was congratulating me about it. And now that I'm making an additional step, it's like, oh, you're doing too much or whatever. Just the vibe was off, and it kind of threw me off for a second. And I had to realize, like, one, everybody not gonna be for you, and some of the main people who for you, not really for you. And I asked God to expose that, which he's doing. And we have a relationship where he can tell me, go here, do that, move back, fall back. And he also placed people in my life to check me in that same way. And when I'm reading this, I'm like, it hit me, and a pastor can check me in this moment if I'm wrong. But when he was like, he will also send you rain for the seeds you sow in the ground. And it made me think, the seed that I'm sowing in the ground needs the rain. You know what I'm saying? For the seed to be able to grow, it needs to rain. And a lot of times in the rain, we don't want to get wet. It don't feel good. It don't look good, but it's purposeful. And I felt like whatever rain and storm I'm feeling, it's definitely for the seed that is brewing. And I was reading today about adversity, and if somebody coming against what you're doing, the enemy stays quiet for stuff that he ain't worried about. Oh, he bit worried about me. But let me tell you something, I ain't bit worried about him at all, okay? And I also know it's not always the devil, and that's where, right in that same chapter, I got checked, because sometimes we always say it's the devil, it's the devil, the devil. And a lot of times we need to be giving God credit, because we be our own devils and messing up our own stuff. And God got to come in and tat that behind a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Some correction. And we get upset and mad about it. And then it was just like, his people, Lord binds up the bruises of his people and heals the wounds he inflicted. And if I'm going to get inflicted by anybody, I'd rather be inflicted by God. And some of y'all, that's not going to resonate with you. I'm going to just ask you to get in his presence more and you'll understand. But I'm speaking to the people who get what I'm saying. And this is where it's like, okay, God, that same infliction that you might use on me and the bruises I might get from that, that's the same power that you have to make my enemies a footstool, okay? So I want God to be that powerful where he can check me but also heal me in the same moment, okay? So, and then I backed it up a little bit, and I was like, well, let me read some more. And then it hit me on chapter 30, verse 18. It says, yet the Lord longs to be gracious to you. Therefore, he will rise up to show you compassion. For the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all who wait for him. And it's like, duh. Let me wait on him instead of going down roads and valleys that I know I shouldn't be going down, talking about I'm in the valley because da-da-da-da-da. But it's just like, okay, well, let me wait on him to guide me on where to go. And if God put me in that valley, he's going to correct me to be able to get out of the valley to make sure I'm doing his will. And a lot of times it's just so you can know that it's God and not you. Ooh. So, yeah. That was Isaiah chapter 30, verses 23, 26, and 18. I highly recommend the entire book of Isaiah. It's really, really dope. I just wanted to bring that to you. That was a really good check for me. And it stemmed from the verses last week that we discussed, chapter 30, verse. But yeah, so that was who Gon Check Me Boo. God is. He is always checking us. All right, let's get into some crew love. Y'all, like, crew love is on 10. I appreciate all the love on social media. You can find us, the Crew Book Club, on TikTok, Instagram, and fan base. You can also see the YouTube channel. Definitely subscribe to that. The special thing about YouTube, the videos are completely unedited. So you get everything from my mess ups to my pauses to my redos to everything. It's just, and let me tell y'all, it's not because I don't want to be honest. It's not because I want you to see me scratching my throat, and I don't have time to edit my YouTube videos between real estate and the podcast. But also it kind of shows this beautifully authentic version of me where it's live. It's like live TV. You're going to get what you get. It's unedited, and it is what it is. So, and I also, in the beginning of the YouTube videos, I have little story time and little nuggets that is not going to be on the podcast. So that's some exclusivity that you get on subscribing to the YouTube channel as well. All right. So leave a review, subscribe. On here on the pod, if you leave a written review on the Apple Podcast platform, I will share the review on right here on the pod. All right. Understand, the books that I read, I definitely try to make sure they're on Audible because I have a partnership with them. And audible.com/crewlove. That's the promo code CREWLOVE, Crew Love. You can get 30 days experience through Audible where you can listen to the book. Bamboozled by Jesus is on Audible. And let me tell you, she narrates the book. It's always dope to hear the author narrate the book. And she's a comedian and an actor. So I'm pretty sure it's hella funny. So definitely click the link and check that out on our Audible relationship. All right. Now let's go ahead and hop into in the beginning of the Bamboozled by Jesus book. It starts on Roman numeral, I don't know these by heart, XII through XIII. I don't know. But anyway, don't judge. Next time I'm going to know the Roman numerals, y'all. But I love reading the beginning of the books, like the preface, before the chapters, because you get a different insight on the author, on why they're doing the book. And it's like a letter to us, the reader, which I really, really appreciate. So she starts here. And it says, bamboozling people into a life they never could have imagined for themselves is kind of Jesus' MO. All throughout the Bible, he suckered several unsuspecting targets into a life full of prestige and promise. And by sucker, I mean dragged through struggle and pain before getting to the good stuff. But can you blame Jesus? He himself got bamboozled. I always say, we think we want to be Jesus. Ooh, woo. But look what he went through. Anywho, God told him to come down to earth, perform a few dope miracles, then set him up for the okadoke with the whole die on the cross for their sins thing. Apparently, nobody's safe in these streets. Everybody can get it. Being bamboozled by Jesus is low-key the most frustratingly, amazingly thing you'll ever experience. It ain't always sexy, but it's always worth it. We just talked about that and what would do who Gon Check Me Boo. It also says here, which I totally agree with this statement. Faith impacts my success and my life in general. It's hard for me to separate the two. And I also learned in my journey of faith is that you cannot talk. Oh, wait, pause. Go back. You can talk to everybody from a spiritual mindset. Just know everybody not going to understand because they're not seeing it from a spiritual mindset. So be very careful when you feel like you're getting upset when you're talking to somebody from a spiritual perspective. Everybody not going to get it. Everybody not meant to get it, okay? Now, if you're a testament and they choose to try to figure out, understand, but if someone's being combative, just know that you're speaking from a place that they do not understand. And God referenced them in the Bible as a fool. Ain't no point in arguing with no fool, child. They ain't gonna get it, all right? I can't convince you what Jesus do for me. I can only live it, all right? Also, it's like she says here, which I love about her too because I'm a hip-hop head. I love hip-hop. She says, I'll throw in a DMX or a Cardi B reference for good measure because I'm well-rounded like that. I tell people all the time, sis, I can go from Shirley Caesar to Meg Thee Stallion real quick. Okay? All that in between. Little Nipsey, a little Uncle Luke. Hit me up. What's good? We gonna party. But I'm also praise Jesus. All right? I scream just as loud at church that I don't even scream at concerts. Like artist concerts, I really be like vibing and in the zone. But I will be screaming at church just as loud as if I'm screaming at a concert. I love being real well-rounded. In my notes, I put, I'll reference Lotto to Sarah J. Roberts in a minute. On page XVI, it says, this is not a self-help book. It's a get yours book, which is so true. A lot of times before I get on the pod, I finish the book completely. And yes, it's like I cried reading some of these things, not because it was sad. It was because, dang, it was like rooting for her and seeing her, how she wrote the story and what she went through. I saw myself in that. And that's why I love this book too. It's super relatable. She says here, I'm not the type of chick that'll give you the advice like that friend you love to have. You know, the one who doesn't challenge you, who pacifies you and allows you to lie to yourself about your deficiencies until years later you realize that you've been letting the most basic things keep you from living your best life. Yeah, that's whack. Same here. I am not the friend to sugarcoat stuff for you. I'm not going to pacify you. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. And it's not being rude. It's just holding you accountable to the things you say you want to be accountable for. I'm that friend. You tell me I don't want to be this person in a relationship. I don't want to do this. And when you do that, I'm going to be like, hey, sis, what happened? You said, I'm just saying what you said. And I'm also the friend, like, how you want me to show up for you. If you don't want me to show up a certain way, I understand. I respect it. Be over there. But like I tell my friends all the time, I need you to keep it 100% funky with me. Even if I might not agree, I need you to keep it real with me. Am I crazy? Am I doing too much? I need those type of friendships. And I love she made that note in the book. All right. So she also talks about, oh yeah, I already mentioned that. This is not a self-help book. It's a get yours book. I always tell people, I don't like the name self-help because it's just like, oh, we're going to get self-help. But it's like, no, it's a get yours type of book. I like to read books that's going to get me right, get my mind right, and ready to take over this motherfucking world. Hey, and understand that everybody don't talk like me either. And everybody not going to understand my relationship with Christ. And I definitely go against the grain a lot of the times because, baby, I'm going to do me because me doing me is what God asks of me to do. All right? My life is not my life. Okay, on page XIX, and y'all going to check me about not knowing these Roman numerals, but do I care? No. This book is to be someone who enjoys learning, laughing, and leveling up. That's it. And I feel like that definitely summarizes the crew. So this just makes the book even more fun and relatable to the Crew Book Club podcast. Now, getting into the introduction title, it says The Do's and Don'ts of Getting Bamboozled. And I'm going to just read all the rules to you. Rule number 1, don't check the fine print. Page 5. I took these little tidbits out of each rule. It says, that's how getting bamboozled by Jesus works. You believe the dream, get hooked on hope, then get sucker punched by the fine print before eventually winning the prize. Taking that leap of faith was definitely the right thing to do, but thank God I didn't read the fine print about how my decision would cause a strain in my family for almost 8 years. The backstory that she talks about before getting to that point was, she's Nigerian, if I'm not mistaken, and she was like, that you either got to be a doctor, a lawyer, or something of that magnitude to be considered successful in their family. And so she's going completely against the grain of wanting to be a comedian. And this is after she went to school and she was giving herself time before pursuing anything else. But she was happy that she took the leap of faith. And I want to ask you, what is your fine print that you're paying so much attention to that you probably shouldn't be because you're not allowing God to come in and bamboozle you? All right? Because you trying to be so on point with everything else instead of letting God lead your life. All right? Ooh, and it's something about that sacrificing and not caring. It's not that you don't care what your people think, but it's just like believing in yourself enough where you don't even need no one's validation but God. I felt a lot of power in reading her story. Rule number 2, do allow God to add his super to your natural. Oh, yes. She says he takes our natural abilities, ideas, and gifts and adds his super to them. But when I show up, flaws and all, God powers up in my life and makes all of me enough for every single moment. Pastor Stephen Furtick, AA, say, if I use what I've got, then God will help me be what I'm not. Oh, yes. The question is, what have you got? Do you know? Do you protect it? Do you harness it to produce more? Or do you disconnect it because it seems insufficient? I was like, oh my God. Oh, come for me. Because a lot of times when I'm doing this podcast, sometimes that junk do be hitting. Like if I see my numbers drop or they're low or the interaction isn't high with a particular episode, I'm like, okay, God, you told me I need to be doing this, but it's just like, what are you doing it for? Who are you doing it for? Okay, even if it just touch one person, I am doing what God has asked me to do. If it don't touch nobody at all, I am doing what God has asked me to do. If only one person like it, I am doing it because God has asked me to do. So that is what it is. All right. Rule number 3. Rule number 3. Do let God build an accessible ramp. Okay. It says here, at times these disabilities presents as emotional, physical, or financial deficiencies. While we might see them as disadvantage, God sees them as opportunities. He takes our special needs and becomes the ramp to get us over every hurdle. God doesn't choose the perfect, sis. He perfects the chosen. Oh, yes, God. Ooh, no one's perfect. I think we had that quote last week about being imperfect. Like, it is funny how imperfect spells I'm perfect. Oh, did I hit you with that? Did you catch it? Did you catch it, sis? So whenever you think you imperfect, I want you to add that little hyphen over that I and separate that M and that P and be like, nope, I'm perfect. All right. Rule number, before I get into rule number 4, she makes this point in rule number 3. Do let God build an accessible ramp. On page 10, she says, the truth is, God needs your broke down, no goods, shameful, and imperfect. If we had it all together, there'll be no need for him to work miracles in us. Whew, sometimes, sis, we got to be broke down and disgusted to the flow, completely letting go, lost whatever, for God to come in and be like, I just want to show you that I am God. Okay, the redeemer of time. All right, so we got to trust in him. Rule number 4, do show up so God can show off. Yes. She says here, now that I'm full grown, life has taught me that showing up is actually half the battle. The other half is showing up prepared. Basically, stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. Okay, so when the opportunity come, you got your in line. What's up? And all they're doing is enhancing what you've already prepared yourself for. My God, come on. Also on rule number 4, she says, start now to show God you mean business. He'll show you his many blessings. Practice this in big and small ways. Show up to the event when they say it's sold out. You never know who's got an extra ticket with your name on it. Funny story. This actually happened to me. It was a friend and I. We were living in Orlando, and it was a game for FAMU Classics. And they didn't have the money to get a ticket. I didn't know they wanted to go, but I brought a ticket and I was hanging with them. And God said to me, let's just go. We walked around. And literally, somebody was like, oh, I got some extra tickets, and just gave it to us. Oh, no. I'm lying. That was another time. This particular time, it was at the Orlando Classics. Neither one of us had a ticket. We were too late, and we didn't have the money to buy a ticket. And I was like, nah, we should go. He was like, you really think we should go? I was like, yes, we should go. We get there. We literally park. I think I had enough money to pay for parking. We literally started walking. 2 blocks later, somebody was walking back and was like, y'all going to the game? Y'all got tickets? And we was like, no, we ain't got tickets. He was like, man, I got these extra tickets and I'm not going to be able to go, so y'all can have them. Oh. I just trusted. I listened to that voice that people say, something told me. No, something was God told me. God told me that day to go. And I know you probably like, yeah, but that's so insignificant and small. No. That's the test. It started small. He needed to see that I was willing to listen to him and to go into places that I didn't think I belonged to get what I needed to get without having it all. But you know what? I woke up, I put my FAMU gear on, I put my outfit on, and I was like, I'm going to this game. And I did exactly what I needed to do, and that was waiting for me. So that's the same thing. It could be God could be telling you to do something so small, and you might seem like it's so insignificant. Like, hey, I need you to go to church this Sunday at 9 o'clock, and I need you to sit over here instead of sitting where you usually sit and going at the time that you usually go. You gonna no, God, I'm used to going to church at 11. Okay, God told you to go at 9 o'clock service. Get your behind up and go. But you can't even do that on a small scale. Okay, so what make you think when he say, okay, I need you to book a ticket to go to Los Angeles, and in 6 months you gonna be in the writer's room? Come on now. If you ain't listen to the small thing in your own hometown, what make you think you gonna listen to him on the bigger stage? Come on now, sis. Let's listen to him now. So start now to show God you mean business, and he'll show you his many blessings. Thank you, Yvonne. All right, rule number 5. Don't neglect the small stuff. True intimacy comes from the little moments like piggyback rides and practicing jump shots. God not only wants to be invited to these tender times, he actually looks forward to them. Okay? There are some things you might think are insignificant to bring to God, like paint on sale. You convince yourself that he has a bigger prayers to answer, and you don't want to bother him or waste his time. Please understand that he's the author of time and doesn't need it micromanaged by anyone. Before you can get bamboozled by Jesus, you have to grant God access into the intricate spaces of your life. Whatever it is, he is not busy, not too busy, and you're not a nuisance. He actually likes to sweat the small stuff. Whew. It's so true. Because there's times where you might feel like, man, why I'm praying about this? It's stupid. But it's just an opportunity for him to show up. For you to see like, oh, wait, that ain't no my God doing this. I remember, I don't know if I told my tithing story here on the podcast. I know I've told it to several friends of mine. And I remember being in Tallahassee. It was my roommate, and I didn't have a car at the time. I think I had gotten in a wreck and I lost my car, and she had hers. And I don't know what it was that got me to go to church with her. And she like, girl, just come with me. And so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go to church with her. And I remember we were sitting in service one day, and he was talking about tithing. And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. I ain't doing it. But something in the first service, God was like, tithe. And this is the backstory. So I had $30 in my hand, in my pocket. Well, I had $30 in my damn name. And I think I had like 67 cents. It was some small coins literally coins in my bank. And it was a Sunday, and I wasn't supposed to get a check till Friday. It was payday. And I was working at Dollar Tree at the time. I think I was making like maybe $7 an hour. So it wasn't going to be a lot of money. And God was just like, get a $30. I was like, and I said, well, you know, God, that's all I got. And I ain't going to be able to get that right now. And he was just like, get a $30. So I ignored it the first service. Second service. No, that in between service, like adult church, adult Sunday school, or whatever they call it. I was like, okay, guys. So we're in the thing, and they're talking about tithing again. I'm like, okay, God, like I don't want to do it. I ain't doing it. Hard nose, quenching on to them $30 in my hand. And he was like, you gonna let me be me, let me do me? And I'm like, oh, no. So we get into the second service. God is like beating my head in at that point. The whole service, that's all I could think about was this $30. So at the last minute, because he called tithing like I don't know how many times, and I felt like in that, now that I look back on it, he was saying it until I did it. So I go up, I put the money, I give it away. And I didn't tell anybody. He made it very clear, don't tell anybody this what you're doing, just do it. And I did. Like, my roommate didn't know I didn't have no more money. And let me tell you, that week God provided. She ended up buying food. She didn't even know what I was going through, but I didn't miss a meal. So that Wednesday, I think we had a dinner with a friend at Olive Garden. And I was like, I ain't got no money to go to this. End up going, I don't remember how the food got paid for, but I'm talking about my experience with God and giving my life back to Christ. And a young lady, it was a bunch of, I think it was like 10 of us there. We're all gathering. You know, I'm just saying what I wanted to say. Like, I'm going to give my life to Christ. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And then by the end of that week, before I even got my check, this girl calls me and she says, hey, I just got to say, I was listening to you talk about God and you giving your life back. And I told myself that I'm going to pray for the first time in a long time. And I prayed for my financial aid. And I said, God, if you give me this financial aid, I'm going to give this girl $300. And yeah, so I didn't know that's what she prayed. So I woke up one day and she was like, hey, she called me. She was like, hey, Sade, I got something to give you. I was like, oh, okay. So I see her and she puts $300 in my hand. And I literally broke down and cried because I had nothing. And God was just like, you trusted me. And just like that, I got back tenfold what I had given him my last. So and in that moment, I knew it was nothing nobody could say. It was nothing that nobody could do that could tell me it wasn't a God. And still to this day, I tithe religiously. And my husband, we used to get in these rafts of arguments of him not understanding. And now I realize, like, I'm speaking to him from a spiritual perspective that he don't even understand. And when he used to go hard at me, I used to go back and forth. And then it got to the point where I didn't even entertain. And I would just say, you just don't understand. And I would continue to do it. We don't have that argument anymore because I stayed strong on that. And I say all that to just say, trust God. Even with the small things. Even when you feel like it's your last. Like, trust him. So yeah, that was the beginning of this book, y'all. It's going to be so good. It's going to be a full episodes of getting checked and Bamboozled by Jesus. So I hope you really enjoyed that. Next week, we'll be getting into part 1, The Burden. All right, with Yvonne, Orji, and Bamboozled by Jesus. But that was the beginning and the introduction of the book, the do's and don'ts of getting bamboozled. And yeah, it's really, really good. And when you feel like you're getting overly bamboozled and you stress the heck out and you need somebody to turn to, I highly suggest getting you a therapist, locked and loaded and ready to go. Just a little testament. It's not a financial issue. Well, I guess it kind of is. And, you know, with health bills and all of that, other things are piling up with health stuff. And I wanted to go back into therapy, but my significant other doesn't feel, I don't know, he feels a certain way about therapy. And I was just like, but I really need to go back, but it's going to cut into some money, yada, yada, yada. And I was just like, I'm going to just sign up for it. So I signed up for it, and then I didn't push all the way through because I wanted to wait for my health insurance card to be replenished. And then I get an email and it's like, oh, we'll take it from $50 a week to $40 a week. And then I'm like, I spend $40 a week on goddamn coffee. So what is the money in comparison to my mental? And I have to remind myself of those things regularly. Like, that's why becoming your complete self is a daily practice. And so thank you, BetterHelp.com. And we have a partnership with them. They're the sponsor of this episode. And I just want you to realize, people like, therapy is expensive, but BetterHelp does have financial assistance. They're into helping you and making you better. And with the Crew Book Club, you can get 10% off your first month of therapy. And that is BetterHelp.com/crewlove. Promo code Crew Love, CREWLOVE. The link is in the show notes as well. I highly suggest therapy. It changed my life. It changed my life. And I just want your life to be changed. And I was listening to a sermon, and we will downplay other things, but we'll try again. Like if you go to a Chick-fil-A, I don't want to use Chick-fil-A because they rarely get the order wrong. But if you go to McDonald's and have a bad experience, you might have a bad experience that one day, but I'm guaranteeing you're going to go again. Or you might have an experience with a doctor, but that don't stop you from going to the doctor. You just pick another doctor. Same as therapy. If you go to therapy and you don't feel like you're gelling with the therapist, keep doing it until you find one. I think I told y'all before, it took me 5 therapists before I found one that I actually like. And I'm going to continue to use her. And she does both marriage and individual, which I really appreciate. So I'll definitely be back in therapy for some help, okay? Let's get into the challenge of the week. Allow Jesus to bamboozle you this week. That is the challenge this week. I want you to allow him to bamboozle you. The challenge was definitely inspired by the book, and it's in the beginning, Roman numeral X. Y'all gonna laugh at me. In the Roman numeral, child, the last page, XXIII. I think that's 23, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. It says, God has custom designed your life to be magnificent. And by default, the magnificent is uncertain, daring, and downright scary. It calls you higher, forces you beyond your capacity, and demands a reckless abandon of all things safe. It's risky. So is a magnificent life. But the only way to get one of those by allowing yourself to be bamboozled. When you're bamboozled by Jesus, you'll have the last laugh. He'll have you dreaming improbable dreams and living a life so unimaginable you wouldn't believe it either if it wasn't your very own. So cheers to you for believing more was possible, for trying to be the first in your family to do what was never expected. Let's go get bamboozled together. The life of our dreams awaits. All right? So crew, I want you to go out and get bamboozled by Jesus. All right? That is the challenge of the week this week. And we got to get into what would the crew do? What would the crew do, child? Oh, goodness. It was DM'd to me. It says, what should I do if I no longer motivated to continue my small business idea? Well. Let me just say this one quote by the great Jim Jones. I was reminded of this morning. When you don't feel motivated, stay consistent. I don't care what you do or try. It's going to come a day when you ain't motivated to do it. All right. And that's where you just got to push through and ask God to give you the strength to be consistent. Consistency is key. All right. Now, if you thinking this is something I don't want to be doing or I should be quitting, that is a bigger thing. You need to really go to God and be in his presence. And people probably like, you say that about everything. Because it's true. It is so true. I always have to give you from a spiritual perspective. Really go to God and really make sure. I always tell people, they ask, so how do you got the energy to do what you do? I said, this is just the beginning, honey. So God is preparing me. And if I can't do this, what makes you think I can go to the next level and do more? So I just trust in God when you're making decisions about your small business. Go to him and ask for, okay, God, guide me into the next space on what I should be doing. Let myself get out of my way so I can do what you need me to do and to give you the motivation. But in those times where you're not motivated, babe, just be consistent. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. And if you need more specific ideas on what to do for your business, message me. I might just have a little something for you. And we can continue the what would the crew do part about being motivated in your small business. Like, is the money not coming and you losing motivation because you feel like you're doing a lot of work and the money not coming? Because if that's the case, a lot of small businesses be going hard. Like, how long you been doing it, sis? You can't do something for not even for 1 year and think it's supposed to be blown up out the water. You know what I'm saying? Or when you are making money, are you using it to reinvest in your company? Or are you spending it? You know what I'm saying? Have you written down the vision and the goals and following that? Is that why you're not motivated? Because you don't have a plan? Those are all things to take in consideration. So if you want to send me a more detailed message about exactly what you're not motivated to do, we would love to help you. All right. So that was What Would the Crew Do? Ask advice. Keep sending your questions. You can DM them to me on Instagram or fan base, The Crew Book Club, at The Crew Book Club, or TikTok. I think TikTok has DM. I'm not sure. Also, you can drop them in the comment section on the description on YouTube, or you can email thecrewbookclub@gmail.com and ask your Yvonne so I can answer it on the pod. All right. I'm going to let you guys get out of here, but before we go, I just got to give you the quote of the week. Hey, the quote of the week is, maximizing tomorrow depends on how well you execute today. Okay? So go out into the world, build, compound, all that work ethic and interest to grow into a better you. And also go out and let God bamboozle you, okay? If you're going to get bamboozled by anybody, get bamboozled by Jesus. I will holler at y'all later. Hey. Want to be a part of the crew? Hit that follow button so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, I would appreciate you showing crew love by rating the show on iTunes and Spotify. Don't keep all this goodness to yourself. Share and tell a friend so your whole crew can be growing with you. Let me be the first to tell you, welcome to the crew.